Well, Sunday Funday just took on a whole new ominous perspective in this battle between the US and Iran. Is all hell about to break loose? B-2s go airborne. A nuclear missile is launched and Trump states consequences will be dire. Is it all just a matter of timing or a massive show of force? What is breaking loose and what does it spell for the future of the United States of America? We're going to cover all this and so much more in just 1 minute. It'd be nice to just wake up on a Sunday, be able to relax, have a cup of coffee, but with the way things are working in international politics and tensions boiling over in multiple theaters, we have to do our due diligence before we get to relax. So we're going to get you up to speed so you know what's happening. Not only as I've kept you up to speed in the Ukrainian theater, which if you didn't get to see this video yesterday, I published it on Lisa's channel. I need you to get there now. If you're at restricted, just go to the prior video and you get to see all of it. And this video hit #1. There's a very good reason, just like today's, I promise you, will hit #1 because the information contained within it is astounding. I'm going to ask for a little bit of help today. I need some support. There's some things I want to do with the channel as we have now started to grow exponentially. To support that, it requires obviously a bit more funds. So for those of you who've provided super thanks here, thank you. That's one means of providing support. For those of you who have joined as members, thank you so much. It means the world to me, and that is continual support. For those of you who've gone restrictedrepublic.com, again, restrictedrepublic.com, and join there as a monthly or annual member, that's another way of assuring these lights and cameras stay on. And this information is becoming ever more plentiful, more dangerous, more dire, as Trump stated. So your support is always appreciated. Anything you could do to help assure we bring all this network up to the next level. Can't tell you how much that means to me. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you think you are, double check and make sure your bell is turned to all so you're alerted to any upcoming broadcast. But now, let's get on with some extremely important information. Many of you have been seeing this article, probably multiple articles. U.S. and Iran, 5 signs of a looming conflict. Oh, it's gone far beyond that now. 5 points. First, military buildup. The U.S. has significantly increased its military presence in both the Persian Gulf and Indian Ocean, deploying B-2 stealth bombers, cargo planes, and aerial refueling tankers, alongside key assets like the USS Carl Vinson and USS Harry Truman. Just to start, though, what is this in relation to? U.S.-Israeli operations and Iranian proxies. Partly. The U.S. and Israel have both escalated their military operations in the region. In Gaza, Israel's ongoing airstrikes on Hamas targets have drawn broader regional involvement, with Iran's support for militant groups adding a layer of complexity to the conflict, especially with the U.S. rhetoric stepping up and us stepping up attacks on the Yemen-based Houthis, which are backed by Iran. Because this all focuses in on this brewing conflict between the U.S. and Iran. Let's go a step further. Always listen to what President Trump says because he backs up his words. Let nobody be fooled. The hundreds of attacks being made by the Houthi, the sinister mobsters and thugs based in Yemen, who are hated by the Yemeni people, all emanate from and are created by Iran. Any further attack or retaliation by the Houthis will be met with great force, and he means what he says. And there is no guarantee that force will stop there. Iran has played the innocent victim of rogue terrorists from which they've lost control, but they haven't lost control. They're dictating every move, giving them weapons, supplying them with money and highly sophisticated military equipment, and even so-called intelligence. Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran. And Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. That statement is now being backed up. Some call it 4D chess that Trump is playing. U.S. masses B-2 stealth bomber with 125 tons of bombs on British Island near Houthi kill zone just days after Yemen strike. Do you know what that means? You know where those are being staged at? Diego Garcia. The U.S. has moved at least 5 B-2 stealth bombers to Diego Garcia. Signed, U.S. massing B-2 Spirit bombers in Diego Garcia. Updated. Well, I followed it. This is public information. I see, well, don't tell the attack plan. Folks, this is all public information. You just need to know where to look for it. And trust me, our enemy knows where to look for it. There's recordings. There's refueling stations. This isn't information you can't achieve. All they can't do sometimes is connect all the dots that we connect for you here to keep it very black and white. Now, why is Diego Garcia so critical? History. Enduring Freedom. Operation Enduring Freedom, to be more specific. Where was the strike point coming out of? All three types of Air Force heavy long-range bombers saw action. A handful of B-2s flew record-setting 44-hour-long missions directly from Whitman Air Force Base to Afghanistan, with recovery at the British atoll of Diego Garcia. One operation launched out. That was 2001, if I'm correct. Advance forward to 2003. Second Iraqi Freedom Operation. Where was that launched out of? Diego Garcia. And now Trump is moving assets to Diego Garcia. What does that mean? And in the region, there's Diego Garcia. And if you just move up slightly, you'll realize very, very quickly that there is a direct line from Diego Garcia to Iran. Why is that critical? Because it's outside the range of any Iranian missiles, but yet effective for U.S. operations. Just one of the moving pieces right now. These are the recordings that you can hear, where they're refueling, how they're getting there, mid-air emergencies being declared, which was extremely unfortunate.
Pitch 1-3, safe status of emergency. Pitch 1-3, roger, thank you. Battalion.
Being diverted back to Hawaii, this B-2 bomber, to be more specific, there on the runway. That's the truth and evidence we provide you here, just connecting a series of dots so you know that the information is vetted and validated. And again, not stating anything is going to occur immediately. When Trump is playing chess, a show of force is extremely critical to bring people to the negotiating table. And who he's trying to negotiate with is a country that has continually lied, that he has shown in the past. And I'm going to get there for you. Actually, let's try to advance this forward a little bit more, because there's more assets being flown around. C-17 cargo planes flowing into Diego Garcia in the last days. You see they turn their transponders off, so you don't know actually where they land. A lot of maneuvering happening on top of the B-2 bombers being moved. Cover a lot more of this for you. The Wall Street Journal, publishing this on December 13th. Trump team weighs options, including airstrikes, to stop Iran's nuclear program. What does this relate back to? Well, we can go back to this Newsweek article. Sanctions and maximum pressure. Economic sanctions have played a pivotal role in the U.S.-Iran standoff. Following Trump's withdrawal from the JCPOA, I feel like I've been covering that forever. The U.S. imposed sanctions on Iran's oil exports, banking systems, and military, at least as they declare it. In actuality, it did none of that. The reason Trump pulled out of it is because the JCPOA was useless. The rise and fall of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action must be Sunday morning. President Donald Trump is ending United States participation in an unacceptable Iran deal, and the world went crazy. How dare he do this in 2018? Except again, if you read, he tells you why he did it. And I'll tell you more of why he did it. Because it takes center focus again today. The Iran deal was one of the worst and most one-sided transactions the United States has ever entered into, and I'll give it to you from Obama himself to exactly why this plan could never work. The case against the Iran deal. This was on the Atlantic. Can you believe this? They published on why it was a useless deal. They did. The JCPOA addresses only the first efforts in any detail, and even then offers merely partial and temporary solutions. The deal largely ignores the second effort and actually advances the third, because you have three parts: trying to stop the enrichment of uranium, building a functional warhead, and a missile capable of delivering it. And the JCPOA only partially addressed the first one. These concessions were intended to extend the time Iran needed to enrich enough uranium for a single bomb from approximately 3 months to a year, but did it? But the JCPOA allowed Iran to retain its massive nuclear infrastructure, unnecessary for any civilian energy program, but essential for a military program. The agreement did not shut down a single facility or destroy a single centrifuge. The ease and speed with which Iran has resumed producing large amounts of more highly enriched uranium, doing so at a time of its own choosing, illustrates the danger of leaving the regime with these capabilities. In fact, the JCPOA blocks nothing. And it didn't. Don't believe me? Why don't you listen to what Obama said himself?
What is a more relevant fear would be that in year 13, 14, 15, they have advanced centrifuges that can enrich uranium fairly rapidly. And at that point, the breakout times would have shrunk almost down to zero. Keep in mind.
Need I say more? So why did they do it? Because Iran was still able to get funding. As a matter of fact, pretty much helped secure them even further. That is why Trump said no more. And Trump has never stood for Iran, but he put a deadline on them, didn't he? Deep breaths first. Why returning to the JCPOA is a dangerous mistake. Reviving the deeply flawed Iran nuclear deal would reward and empower a hostile dictatorship by lifting sanctions, which it did, gave them more funding more terrorist attacks, hence why Trump just get rid of it, and squandering U.S. bargaining leverage. Number two, Iran never fully complied with the JCPOA and is currently in violation of it on several accounts, and much more restrictive agreement is necessary. But how do you get a restrictive agreement? Because Iran's not going to listen to you. You'd have to threaten them. So how do you threaten them exactly? Well, Trump is doing exactly that. I just read to you many ways he's doing it, by flying those stealth bombers into Diego Garcia, moving military assets, preparing for refueling. And Iran, as I told you, because all of this is fairly public information, knows this now. Right on top of when he gave them a deadline for a deal. Starting to make sense? A new agreement, number 3, should include Iran's ballistic missile program, disclosure of its past nuclear weapons efforts, and better protection for Israel and Arab allies in these indirect negotiations. So even when Trump puts down a deadline, even when he says you got to come to the table and negotiate, they thumb their nose at him. We'll have indirect discussions. The Islamic Republic, in a formal letter issued to the White House in response, says it's willing to enter indirect negotiations. But prior to that, they had stated nothing. So why do you think suddenly, although this isn't nearly enough, did they come out and say, okay, maybe we should start talking here? But if they're talking and their lips are moving, they've always proven to be lying. In circumstances where there is maximum pressure, no one in their sound mind would enter into direct talks. This is Iran. The format of negotiations is always relevant in diplomat. Now they want to be diplomatic. Trump knows they don't want to be diplomatic. Everybody in their right, anybody with a sane mind knows they don't want to be diplomatic. That has never been the case. The same guy, Khamenei, warns of severe crushing blow if U.S. attacks Iran. March 21st, 2025. So he really wants to enter into negotiations. Come on, folks. Trump knows way better than that, and you now do too. Axios. Iran calls Trump's offer to negotiate a new deal a deception. Oh yeah, it seems like they really want to come to the table. They're going to just suddenly roll over and play nice. No, there's only one way you deal with this, the way Trump is dealing with it right now. So when you hear all these reports, big titles, I got your attention. That's my job in titles. To tell you, just hold on. This is a game of 4D chess going on right now. Armed forces target Ben Gurion Airport, military targets. This is from the leadership, the Yemeni leadership. In retaliation to the ongoing U.S. aggression against our country, the missile, UAV, and the naval forces carried out in a joint military operation targeting enemy warships in the Red Sea, led by the U.S. aircraft carrier Truman with a number of ballistic and cruise missiles and drones. The results of the confrontation and counterattack operations over the last few days included thwarting of the enemy's attempt to advance its warships towards the southern Red Sea region. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it ain't going to last much longer, brothers. It ain't going to happen, because Trump's coming. And the full power and military might of the U.S. military is heading your way. They ain't playing games. So your little statements here of aggression, the Yemeni Air Forces affirmed that the American aggression will only increase the Yemeni steadfastness and resilience. Careful who you're messing with. This new administration, well, they ain't the old administration anymore. They ain't gonna roll over and play dead or sleep on a beach continually. No, they mean business. Trump says he will continue bombing Yemen for a long time. He ain't going to stop. They want us to stop so badly. They've got to say no mas. But I can only say the attacks every day, every night have been very successful beyond our wildest expectation. We're going to do it for a long time. We can keep it going for a long time. That was President Trump. Now you start to see the picture take shape, don't you? And this statement makes a lot more sense right now. Every shot fired by the Houthis is a shot fired by Iran. Deployment of assets. In recent days, again, U.S. military sent several B-2 stealth bombers to Diego Garcia. And U.S. officials said was not disconnected from Trump's 2-month deadline. They always give you the answers. The mainstream media just won't connect the dots for you because they don't want it to appear this black and white. Remember, they like everything being cloudy, so you have to tune back in. Well, here you get facts, so your knowledge continues to expand. And you can understand what these theaters are actually comprised of. And that's the important part to me. If I'm doing that for you, please put it in the comments so I know I'm going the right direction. Each one of these broadcasts you see, 20 or 30 minutes, is about 6 to 7 hours of preparation. Because that's the amount of knowledge, research it actually takes, on top of all the existing knowledge, to piece these puzzle pieces together so you can actually see the clear picture. The B-2 bombers can carry huge bunker buster bombs that would be a key element if any possible military action against Iran's underground facilities was to occur. Now you know why he's putting B-2s there. A spokesman for U.S. Strategic Command confirmed the deployment to Axios and said STRATCOM routinely conducts global operations in coordination with other combatant commands, services, and participating U.S. government agencies to deter, detect, and, if necessary, defeat strategic attacks against the United States and its allies. Period. Iran, how you feeling now, huh? Of course, they have no fear. Or do they? Back to that Newsweek article. Demonstration of military might. Both the U.S. and Iran have engaged in significant military posturing. The U.S. has conducted multiple B-52 bomber flyovers near Iran as a show of strength and a signal of potential military action. Additionally, U.S. forces have joined the Israelis in large-scale drills involving strategic bombers and fighter jets. On the other side, Iran's conducted joint naval exercises with Russia and China in the Gulf. Further bolstering its military capabilities, Iran has also showcased its missile strength by unveiling missile cities, which house its growing arsenal of long-range missiles, but not far enough to get to Diego Garcia. So what does Trump do? A little bit over a month ago, it's time to test that Minuteman III nuclear missile again. Missile fired. Show of force. You don't believe me? That's on the Air Force website itself. There's the launch, and it was successful. In other words, Iran, pay attention. The new administration isn't the old administration. We've now tested our nuclear missile, and it's more powerful than anybody. So 5 signs of a looming conflict put into real, clear, concise detail based on a letter and deadline that the U.S. government itself has admitted to why they're moving assets. So the show of force may show that all hell is about to break loose, or Iran will come to the negotiating table. And that is all the chatter you're hearing in the most clear and concise nutshell I could put it in. So tell me below if I was successful. If you want to know any more details on any more elements of this story, put that in the comments also. I'd be happy to dig deeper for you at any time, because diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Iran have deteriorated since the U.S. pulled out of the JCPOA, which it needed to. Despite some attempts at renegotiation, Tehran has rejected U.S. demands and has increasingly turned to Moscow and Beijing for support because they can't hold. And Ukraine has turned to U.S., but then thumbed their nose the video yesterday because they feel bolstered by the UK and France. I can't even say that without laughing. Recently, President Trump revealed that that letter to Tehran had a 2-month deadline. We're a little bit under 1 month in, but he's preparing, because the only way you get a bully to come to the negotiating table is to show him you're a bigger, by far larger badass bully than they are. And President Trump is putting the great Republic of the United States back into its position of strength through show of force in an ultimate effort to avoid potential conflict. But he ain't afraid to do it if they don't listen. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.